property?
Closer view of the location of the property on the map, on the Google map.
Thank you. Permission to publish?
Yes.
Well, I'll publish that. We're going to pre-marked Exhibit 3. Before I ask you about that, is that sort of a close-up of the map of the Google map of the property?
Yes, sir.
What area of Memphis is that in?
East Memphis, around the Shady Grove area, Poplar, Shady Grove, Ridgeway.
Okay. Do you recognize the document I just handed you?
Yes.
Could you describe that, please?
It is a aerial view, very close in of the property itself.
Okay, if we could ask to publish that. This is a printout from your Google Maps or Google Earth, I guess. But that little white or transparent looking stripe on the left, is that Shady Grove Road?
Yes.
Okay. And on the right of that image is the house? Is that correct?
Yes, that's the house, that's Shady Grove.
Okay. Well, I have that picture up. Can you sort of describe, not the house right now, but the property? What's the property like? How big is it?
It's excess of 3.5 acres, probably between 3.5 and 4 acres.
Okay.
It's a very nice gated estate, probably around 10,000 plus square feet.
Okay. I'm going to show you what we've pre-marked as Exhibit 4. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Is that
Closer view aerial of the property.
okay? If we may have permission to publish that.
Yes.
Is that the close-up aerial view? That little pin looks like I think Google Earth printout.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Now, can you describe, I know we can see it, but just sort of the general details of the house. You said it was about 10,000 square feet, but from your memory as a real estate agent, what other features did the house have?
It's just a very large estate with a nice pool area, as you can see right there. The garages are in the back. It's about a 4-car garage with this area is just a motor court. The driveway comes in from the property, wraps around in the motor court in the back. Goes completely around. It's got an enormous master suite, large living areas, dining rooms, entertaining rooms, media rooms, which you would, I guess, if you saw a multi-million-dollar estate, it's what you would think it would be. Okay. Now, when you were showing that estate to the young family, how did you actually get onto the property and into the house? Well, representing the seller of the estate, we would either meet them there or give them gate access. The seller being Renaissance Bank? The seller was Renaissance Bank. Our firm represented Renaissance. Properties like this, a lot of times we'll meet the buyers and their agents to show the property just so that they've got access so that we know the property is secure when they leave. Okay, so during the pendency of when you were selling the property, you were able to access the property? Yes. Okay. And as the representative, you had permission, is that correct? Correct. Okay. Now, I'm going to take you to March 4th, 2013. Anything unusual happened regarding the property that day? Normally, I would just drive by the property at being close to our office. We'd always check on our properties, especially when they're vacant. And we noticed, or I did, that there were signs and chains on the gate, which were not there previously. Okay. What sort of signs? Signs with a bunch of verbiage on it. I can't remember exactly what they were. It's been several years since. chains on the gates, just something that drew my attention to this is not right.
Okay.
And plus, I couldn't get into the property, so I knew something was going on.
Okay. When you say you couldn't get in, were the chains locking up the gate?
Yeah.
Did you ever, was it your company or Renaissance Bank? Do you know that chain belonged to them? Did you recognize it at all?
No.
Did you recognize these signs at all?
No.
Okay. I'm going to hand you what we've previously marked Exhibit 5. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Could you describe that, please?
It was a sign that was hanging on the gate.
Okay. Can you read the writing and describe the little picture that's on there?
Moorish American National Republic. It's just a flag with a green star.
Okay. If we may have permission to publish by just asking him or the deputy to hold it up for the jury.
What exhibit number is that?
That's Exhibit 5, Your Honor. Thank you. If you could just set it right there. I'm going to pass you another, what's been pre-marked as Exhibit 6. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Could you describe for the court and the jury what that is?
This was another sign that was on the gate, basically saying that whoever put it up, that they felt like they owned the property.
Okay. Maybe a silly question, but did you or your company or Renaissance Bank, to your knowledge, put that sign up?
No, we did not.
Okay. If we may have permission to publish that to the jury by having Deputy Hayward hold it up. I won't, Mr. Dickens, I won't read the whole thing, but does it start in the middle of the trifold poster saying, I, Abaca Ray Bay, seize this land, and then some other language? Okay. Ultimately, did you and a representative of the bank take those signs down?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do after you first saw those signs and the chain?
I called my representative at the bank.
Okay, what did you all do then?
Notified them that there was something going on, and I just kind of hang tight, and they came over to the property.
When you say they, who are you referring to?
Greg Pauly.
Greg Pauly. Is he with Renaissance Bank?
Yes.
Okay. What did you and Mr. Pauly do when he came to the property?
Went up to the gate, looked at the signs, read them, really weren't sure what to make of it. Tried to look through the gate to see if anybody was on the property. And then, he notified, I guess, his higher-ups to figure out what they should do as far as next steps.
Did you see anyone on the property?
Yes.
Could you describe the people you saw?
From my memory, there were several people in the house running around. At one point, we saw some that would look to be children running on the front patio. Then they would run back inside. And then at one other point, we saw what looked to be a young lady who had made her way up to the front of the property. And then, I guess, we all startled each other and took off back to the property.
Okay. Now, when you were there with Mr. Pauly, you said you contacted the law enforcement. Is that correct?
I believe Mr. Pauly did.
Okay. Did you ever meet with the law enforcement there?
Yes.
What happened after that?
We met with them, I don't know if it was the same day or a day or two after, at the Sheriff's Department, and we sat down with them and we produced a letter which we ended up taking back to the gate and basically posting it on the gate.
Okay, I'm going to pass you what's been pre-marked as Exhibit 7. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Is that, could you describe that, please?
It's a property on Renaissance Bank letterhead, just a formal
is that the letter that you all posted on the property?
Yes.
It's already in evidence. If we may publish it by asking him to read for the jury what's on that letter.
Yes, go ahead.
March 5th, 2013, 2:30 p.m. This is your formal notice to vacate this property at 600 South Shady Grove within 24 hours from the date and time above. You must have vacated this property by March 6, 2013 at 2:30 p.m.
Thank you. If I may just publish it on the overhead. Now, at that time, were you aware of who was occupying the property?
We didn't know exactly who, no.
Okay.
We just knew from what we read on the boards.
On the sign? Okay. Did anyone have permission at that time to be on that property other than bank representatives or real estate agents such as yourself?
No.
Did the people you saw in the house, to your knowledge, have permission to be on that property?
No.
Did they have permission to exclude you from the property?
No.
I know this was some time ago, but any of the people you saw that day, do you recognize any of them in the courtroom today?
A couple years ago, so not
That's fine.
specifically.
If you don't, that's fine. What happened after you all posted the notice? Did you have any more involvement?
Phone calls maybe, but as far as being involved in what took place next, no. I mean, we were just there really to represent the bank and the property.
When? If you don't remember specific dates, that's fine.
Not specific dates.
Okay. Do you remember the sale value of what it sold for?
I want to say around $2.4 million.
Okay. If I may have one moment, please. Do you remember if the original closing date was relatively soon to when you discovered the signs, or on March 4th?
Close enough to where we thought it was going to create an issue that would affect the sale of the property.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Dickens, you're a real estate agent?
Mm-hmm.
You guys say yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And as a real estate agent, you went to school to become a real estate agent?
I did.
How long ago?
10 years ago before I got licensed.
Okay. And in that 10 years, how many different firms have you worked for?
2.
And during the course of a year, do you have to take specialized legal education or real estate training to keep your license?
We do training or hours that we're supposed to get every 2 years. There's a certain number of hours we're supposed to get.
Right. And in order to keep a license, you have to continue your training.
Sure.
So being a real estate agent is not just you get the license and you in. You're constantly in training and education throughout the course of your career. Is that
Correct.
And who do you work for?
Mark Spinsdorf.
Fairly high-end real estate.
Do everything.
Okay. You do a lot of $3 million houses?
Say that one more time.
You do a lot of $3 million houses? $2 to $3 million.
Personally or as a company?
Companies.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Right. Now, as part of your training, have you ever come in contact or as part of your training, you understand the word of adverse possession?
Yes.
And in that training, you learn that adverse possession is when somebody adversely or against the property owner takes over that property and tries to own it themselves.
Correct.
And it has to be hostile, actual, exclusive, open and notorious, and continuous, based on your training.
Yes.
Hostile means against the right of the owners. Right?
Yes.
Actual means actually exercising control of the property.
Yes.
Exclusive meaning they possess, whoever the trespasser is, excludes everyone else from the property.
Yes.
Open and notorious means they can't hide it. They have to be out front saying, hey, I own the property. Open and notorious.
Sure, yeah.
Continuous because it has a certain period of time in Tennessee, and after the end of that time, they legally own the property.
Yes.
Now, these were placed out on the fence where they were in the open where you could see them.
Yes, sir.
And it says that she is actually on that property.
Yes.
You saw her actually on the property. You saw people actually on the property.
Yes.
And you couldn't get on the property.
No, sir.
She excluded you from the property.
She did.
And the key here is y'all couldn't let it go on. First you had to sell it close, right?
Yes.
$2.4 million sale, right?
Correct.
How much of that $2.4 million was going to come back into your real estate firm as commission?
I'd have to go back and look at the settlement statements. I don't know.
Well, it would not be the standard about 6%? Y'all
No, it wouldn't be 6%.
Well, I guess that's a good question then. For the normal folks who have done their $3 million houses in Shelby County, the average or the standard is 6%, or who would Cry Like actually does 7%, because they want to split it 3.5 to keep their agents just selling between themselves. Which
Yes.
for once a house gets over a certain amount, does the owner have the ability to kind of negotiate that down a bit so that you're not paying 6% of a $3 million sale?
That's up to the company.
Okay. So you don't know if this was reduced or you believe it was, but just don't know the number.
From my memory, it was a 6% commission, but our firm didn't get 6%.
Was it split between two firms? Okay. So it was 3% of $2.4 million. Again, I'm not trying to get into
Yes.
I say yes because of her. She's typing it all
I
down.
understand.
When you were speaking to the sheriff, let me back up. Sorry. You said you went by and you saw that the chain was on the fence.
Yes.
Again, what day was that, roughly?
I couldn't give you a specific date. It was maybe March sometime.
In relation to the letter that was Exhibit 7, it says this is your formal notice.
Yes.
I believe if this was written, it says here on March 5th.
2 days prior, maybe.
Okay. So was it 2 days prior? Was that the first day that you had contact with the sheriff's department? I'll ask you a different way. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know that directly I ever talked specifically to them. I think it was the bank or Greg Pauly. The bank called them because there was no reason for both of us to call.
Okay.
But from that point on, I guess the day that we met with them was, from my memory, probably the following day.
Okay. Help me understand then. If this was on the 5th,
Okay.
who told you? Were you present when this was drafted?
Yes.
And were you present when it was posted?
Yes.
Were you present when there was a conversation with the sheriff's office about drafting this document?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of this document?
I believe the purpose was to notify them that they didn't own the property and the bank did, and that the bank wanted them to leave.
Okay. Again, it goes back to that she had excluded y'all in that possession of the property.
Sure, yeah.
Was there an intent, or was there do you know of any action taken to evict her?
I don't, but I wasn't involved in the detailed conversation between the bank and the sheriff's department.
And that's perfectly fine. I guess, really, do you personally have any knowledge of any discussions about evicting her?
No.
You had been, when you went by and saw the chain on the fence, you had been in the house previous to that. You gone in and looked around and
I've been
said,
in it multiple times.
right. And did you ever go back in it after she was arrested?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Because you're the real estate agent.
Correct.
And you would want to go in and check and look for damage, because you would be the one that would have to tell the bank and get together, because you want it to look good, correct?
Correct.
You don't want to lose the sale.
Sure.
And if I remember correctly, this house, at least at the time that Ms. Abica Raybay was in it, it was furnished, was it not? Semi-furnished, had some furnishing? You're totally wrong. So do you remember?
Well, it was not furnished, to my recollection.
Okay. When
when you got back in it, was there any furniture in it?
After she had been arrested?
Yes.
There were things there.
What kind of things?
Mattresses or blankets and clothes and food in the refrigerator and just things.
Was it just mattresses on the floor?
Yes.
And like pallets for the kids?
Yes.
And just some food in the refrigerator? Did it appear that she had just moved in her entire living room suit and her bedroom suit and her TVs and that kind of? Did you see anything in there where she had like hung pictures up on the wall that were hers personally, like of her children, or anything that was hers to make it hers?
I don't recall that.
Remember how much food was in the refrigerator?
Not really.
Okay. Was there any damage to the house?
There was some damage, yes.
Do you remember what it was?
Not specifically.
Was it expensive, large damage, like vandalism? Let me ask you this, let me back up. You said you go by it every once in a while because it was empty, or at least I got the impression you went because it was empty. Mm-hmm. What's the problem with empty houses in Memphis?
This house or any here? We check on houses when they're empty for our clients. We don't necessarily always go in them.
Right.
Just to make sure things seem to be normal.
Well,
but typically, sometimes with empty houses, vandalism or whatever may happen.
Right. Vandalism is especially in bank-owned properties, their concern is vandalism of the house.
I don't know that they're concerned. I've never had an issue with another property.
Okay. Was there anything in the house that appeared to be vandalized as opposed to just wear and tear or small? Was there any vandalism?
Specifics, I couldn't give you specifics, but I do know that there were things that had to be fixed because the house was broken into. The front door had to be fixed. There were some other things that had to be done that were an expense. What all those things were, I couldn't remember.
So some cleaning probably involved?
I'm sure there was.
Did you see the door and the damage to the door?
I did.
Was it where it had been jimmied open to gain access? Or had it just been knocked over?
No, knocked over. It was still intact, but it had to be fixed.
The contract price you had on this house was $2.4 million.
I believe so.
And it sold for $2.4 million.
I believe so.
Do you, prior to finding the chain on the fence, do you know how long Miss Tabitha Gentry had been in the property?
No.
Do you remember how long it had been since you had last seen the property without the chain to the time you saw the chain? Days, weeks, months?
Oh, probably days.
Okay. So just in a matter of the course of a few days, you come by, you see the chain, and then within just a couple of days after that is the only time that she's in this property?
Did you restate that?
She was in the property. How long was it from the time you saw the chain to the time that she was arrested?
I would imagine just a couple days.
Did you ever, I noticed on this one here, what is this one? Exhibit 6. She even goes so far that in here it says that she's got a deed on the house. Did you ever go and check out that deed?
I remember seeing the documentation, some documentation after we had done some due diligence, but I couldn't tell you specifically.
Rights of indigenous persons shall not be removed from the land, Title 18, Section 242 and 243. Did you ever look that up?
No.
Not being mean or anything, specifically, I mean, do you really care?
Do I even really care?
Yeah, I mean, to look that up.
I don't, I mean,
You maybe continue, really did.
not really.
Okay. As
that's what I was asking. USC Code of Law, all rights of liberty retained, reserved, and protected. Code of Law, Title 22, Chapter 2, Section 141 of the General and Permanent Charter, AAA 222-141. Any dictate? ABKA Ray Bay sees this land. Al Cezanne, excuse me, S-E-I-S-I-N, Cezanne, in law. Cezanne, in fact, and Al Cezanne, indeed. Moorish National Trust. You ever heard of the Moorish National Trust before?
Not for this.
Okay. Noble Drew Ali. But I guess that for you, the key phrase here is she was claiming the property, right?
Yes.
Okay. It has zip ties in the back of it. Was this like affixed to the gate? Or?
From what I remember, yes.
Okay. Mr. Dickens, I appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Just have a couple of questions, Your Honor. Mr. Dickens, I asked you about if you saw people on the property that you didn't recognize and that you didn't know. Did you ever see any vehicles on the property that you didn't recognize or didn't know?
Yes.
Do you remember what kind?
There was a white, I'm trying to remember this, it was a white car that I saw come in and out of the property, at least once in particular.
Okay. Now, aside from you going to check on the property, was it being maintained by, I guess, other contractors in any way?
There was a pool company that was maintaining the pool.
Okay. What about like lawn and?
There were, yeah.
Okay. So the property was being, aside from you checking on it, it was being maintained?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Ferguson asked you about this, I guess, civil issue of adverse possession. When you learned about that, did you learn that that deals with abandoned property?
Did I learn that it dealt with abandoned property?
Is that what an adverse possession is, to your knowledge about it?
No.
Okay. But it's fair to say that this property wasn't abandoned? It was being maintained? Okay. When you learned about adverse possession, did you learn that it was not a defense to theft of property?
Did I learn that it was not a defense?
Correct.
To theft of property? Yes.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Where does it say that? That's not a defense to theft. Where does it say that?
I don't have documentation to that, just from anything that from just this specific incident.
Oh, somebody in this incident told you that.
What are you asking?
Well, really, let's talk about what adverse possession is. Adverse possession is when I take a piece of property from you and I adversely possess it.
Right.
Okay. And that is the way that I can gain title to land. Correct?
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Well, pursuant to the National Banking Act, Section 28, banks cannot own property, and pursuant to their own charter, the Charter of the Federal
Please
Reserve.
sit down.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Is it true you don't know if it's the fence or not?
No.
Thank you. That's all I have, Judge.
I have no further questions.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a recess at this point. We'll bring you back in as soon as we can. Leave notepads in your chair, all right? Don't discuss the testimony. And I will say that there was discussion about the law. Just remember, the law comes from the court, and then in the jury charge at the end, you'll get all the laws pertains to the case, all right? Okay.
What's that?